The Garden Report is powered by Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, Brian Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report Practice Edition full recap. We did our panic meter on Kristaps Porzingis, and other things happened today as well, namely probably the biggest news today in the Celtics world behind the Porzingis stuff is that Derrick White is going to engage the Celtics on negotiation talks this summer. And I do find that interesting, Noah, no doubt Dalzell here from Celtics blog, because they're limited in what they could offer him this summer. And even the max offer that they can give Derrick White is probably going to fall short of what he could potentially get in free agency. So the fact that he's going to talk it out and they're going to try to come to an agreement this summer, I think is a pretty good sign, because they might have to wait to free agency on this, at least from a value perspective. And the fact that he's willing to maybe take a lesser contract to stay here, I think is going to be super important. And also in that report, they said that the Celtics still have interest in signing him to an extension, despite all the money that they've accumulated so far in extensions. And of course, Jason Tatum's going to need an extension this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you certainly like to hear it because he's the only one in the core group right now that you're not sure about his long-term prospects. You know, obviously Drew Holiday got extended. Kristaps Porzingis is here for the next few years. Jason Tatum is going to be offered something that, you know, they can't compete with. So he's kind of the one question mark of are they going to be able to retain him? And I think moving forward, he's as important as anybody else for what this team has been able to do this year and what they're going to be able to do going forward. And so, yeah, certainly welcome news. Not very surprising, personally. I think that he's made it very clear he likes being here. He wants to stay here. The question is, you know, probably more in the weeds, and I'm sure right now he's not thinking about this, you know, being in the middle of the finals, but I think it was welcome news regardless.
So they could have signed this extension last summer, which I think was probably a mistake looking back on it, just based on the year he's had, because same situation last year, 4 years, about $126 million, not huge money as time goes on. So could you have gotten that done last summer? I don't think that max offer was on the table last summer. Will it be here this summer? I don't know. I think it's certainly going to have to be the minimum that the Celtics go to get him is that maximum. So we'll see what happens here. Of course, there's a lot of money on the books. There's a lot of moving parts in the future. There's implications of second apron and all those restrictions. The tax is going to start hitting them hard once Tatum's extension goes into effect. So it's going to be difficult to keep this team together long term beyond this finals run here. White's super important.
Yeah.
I don't think this works without him. You saw them win without Porzingis this year. They went undefeated when Brown was out of the lineup.
They looked the worst when he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Of the games that he missed, that was when the Celtics looked at their worst.
Yeah,
so I totally agree with that. And I also think you're right. Like, they probably should have done this last summer because he had a really good year this year and his value around the league rose. I think his name recognition, everybody talks about him all the time. Now you bring up a player that's a borderline all-star, underrated. He's the first name that comes up, right? Last year he was coming off of a playoff run where he certainly made a name for himself, but he was still like sometimes a sixth man even, you know? And so certainly he's a completely different type of player as far as just his reputation around the league this year. And so, yeah, they probably could have gotten him for cheaper last summer, and they took a gamble and he had a really great year. And I'm sure they're going to do everything they can this summer to make it happen.
So Porzingis, we talked about that in our other video. Derrick White talked today as well, said he is hopeful. This whole team was pretty much hopeful that Porzingis is going to try to give it a go here. We'll see what happens tomorrow or even later this afternoon when actually the injury report's going to come out. That should actually be shortly. But what else stood out to you at practice today that you saw, that you heard?
Yeah, I would say spirits were generally high. You know, talked to Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, a lot of the bench guys. They're happy to be up 2-0, and they're happy to be in this position to potentially be up 3-0 with a game tomorrow. But I also think that a consistent message throughout everybody that I spoke with today and everybody that we've heard from over the last few days is that they recognize how quickly things can change, and they recognize how quickly a 2-0 lead can become 2-2 going back home without one of your best players. And so I don't sense any complacency with this team. That has been really clear in all of their messaging, all their mindset. I think they're going to come out strong tomorrow because they don't feel comfortable with the position that they're in. And I think they also have a lot of room to play better. Like, I don't think they feel like they've been at their absolute best and they can't get any better.
All right, we'll have more coverage here in Dallas on the ground. Noah Dalzell from Celtics blog, Bobby Manning here with a practice edition of the Garden Report. Joe Swipe-Pavone's going to join us later today as well. Nick Gelso touching down today here in Dallas as well, I believe. So plenty of podcasts, plenty of news to come. And Game 3 is tomorrow at 8:30 here at the American Airlines Center. We're brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Go to Game Time. You want to be in the building tomorrow night here in Dallas. I think it's a good one to see. Or on Friday if the Celtics are potentially playing to clinch a championship here. All those tickets are available on the Game Time app. Best deals right up until and even after game time. You can get $20 off your first purchase with the code CLNS. Terms apply. Check out HelloFresh as well. We can't cook right now, but I'm excited to get home and check out my next box of the HelloFresh. Customizable, prepackaged ingredients, laid out instructions, it's all there. You can get different kinds of boxes to fill your preference or your dietary needs over there. And they're gonna throw in a free appetizer for as long as you use HelloFresh. If you go to HelloFresh.com/gardenapps, that's HelloFresh.com/gardenapps. Again, she's Noah Dalzell, I'm Bobby Manning. This has been a practice edition of the Garden Report.